Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I have a great show today. You know, sometimes there's certain companies that are right in the middle of it. And of course, when we think about automation and we think about deliveries to people's homes with all the products they're now ordering online, of course, my wife and I, everybody that knows who watches the show, we order everything online right now. And so does so many people that we know. Well, there's a whole back end piece to that. There's a whole back end process that needs to happen. There's companies that specialize in construction of automation. And we brought two leaders in the field on the show today. What they're doing so fascinating. The name of the company is S2F Installation. I've been able to book Mr. Ray Kozlowski, and he is the co-founder and CEO of S2F. And we also invited his director of operations, Matt Newell, on the show today. There's so much to unpack with what they're doing. I mean, it's a very interesting business they put together. They become leaders in the field. Ray, first of all, let me welcome you to the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Well, thank you so much. It's great being here. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Ray. And of course, Matt, the director of operations. Man, you've got a big job over there. Welcome to the show as well.
Well, thanks for having me today.
All right, let's get going, Ray. As you know what we like to do, we become famous for it. Pull the lens back to 30,000 feet. Tell us about what you do at S2F, and then we're going to get into it. I have so many questions for you.
Yeah, so S2F Installation, it's start to finish, which is designed for our industry. And so we deal with construction on automation projects, like you said, e-commerce, anywhere where you buy from online. We're in there putting up all the equipment that is needed to get stuff in and stuff out. But it's a very construction type of industry where there's a lot of our competitors who do not start and finish projects. So what we put together is a team, not just for labor, but we are also adding in the project management, the engineering, all the services that we believe is required to fulfill a successful installation by partnering with our customers. Partnerships are everything to us. We interview our customers as much as our customers are interviewing us. We need to make sure it's the right fit. We acquire the relationships necessary. We get involved from the engineering, from the any type of structural analysis that's needed, we're able to do. Something that I believe that our competitors have a difficult time doing. Just wanting to provide manpower, like probably a thing of the old, where we come in and say, look, we're gonna help in the design, we're gonna help in the fashion of it, we're gonna understand rates, we're gonna understand how much you need to get in, how much you need to get out, and we're gonna apply this to your project.
I love it so much, Ray. I mean, it's so interesting. You've become known for quality installations. Your project management is second to none, and of course, engineering as well. I want to bring Matt in because I have so many questions about automation construction. But before we do, let me follow up with you, Ray, just for a second. What types of companies reach out to you at S2F and they say, hey, we've heard about what you're doing. We've seen some of your designs. They're remarkable. You know, what types of companies reach out to you and say, hey, we need some help here?
Yeah, absolutely. So our customer base is very unique. So you've heard of general managers who come in and they construct a building. You know, they put the outlets in, they get things ready for your desks, your offices, the plumbing. Well, we deal with someone like a general manager. Our customers are called integrators. So what integrators do is they basically say, okay, the building's done, but now we need to figure out how to engineer and design this thing so we can put the right racking in place, the right types of conveyor in place. So our customer base is integrators. And it's a very, very high political game that's played in this, in that we have to make sure that we are staying in our lane. And so our customer base are integrators. That would be folks who sell things like print and apply structures, the software that goes along with it, but yet they're selling some of the surrounding peripherals that are needed, like the conveyor, like the racking. So they get a hold of us and they say, look, we got not just this one project for a company like Amazon. Anywhere you can buy online, we've been in a lot of different Gildan and Nike and things like that. They call us and say, we got not just one project with them, but we got many projects with them because we're designing a large scale or all of their facilities. So then they call us and we quote the back half, which is the installation or value add. And so that's our clientele. So it's not necessarily the end users, which we call them, like the Nike or the Walmarts that call us directly. It's the integrator that's doing the actual general manager type work for them.
Well, it's so interesting. There's so many ways to slice a pie. Let's bring Matt in. Matt, you've been involved with, thousands and thousands, perhaps millions of square feet of, facilities. And when I look at some of the photos of the work you've done, it's so interesting. How long does a typical project take, Matt, from point A to B to get in and get out and get the customers and clients what they're asking for from your company?
Well, it's an interesting question, Andy. I mean, it really does vary, and it depends on the complexity that the integrator, the end user, bring to our table. On average, you could say that we try to wrap projects up within, a month or two. We have some projects that go well beyond that into 8, 9, 10 months. We're actually entertaining some opportunities right now that might push us into the 20 to 50 week mark. So, it varies all across the board. We see a lot, all the way from a couple days on site to, like I said, close to a year on site. It really just depends on the need.
That's awesome, Matt. When I think about it, and I think about the technology behind a system that you're putting together, I'll call it a system for lack of a better term, the conveyors and the racking and everything else. How much of it now is automated versus sort of the old-fashioned way where there was just people pushing it around and you had to get a lot of bodies in there to sort of push the things along the conveyors?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting blend, to be honest with you. There's a lot of material handling that the automation takes care of. There's always going to be that touch point with an actual human being to, maybe do some quality control items. There are certain aspects of a lot of these guys' operations that still require that human touch. And I don't think that that's going to go away, but the automation piece takes care of the monotonous material handling tasks, the monotonous sorting tasks that, the human being doesn't really enjoy. And oftentimes is a pretty significant expense to a lot of these customers. So the automation comes in, it saves the company money, it saves, the employee a lot of the backbreaking work that is required. Like I said, it varies. The human touch is always going to be there, but the automation does a lot of the heavy lifting.
I love it, Ray. Let's go back to you just for a minute because you're growing. People have heard about the company. They know that, you're fastly becoming one of the automation construction leaders. And let's talk about growing a company a little bit because, Ray, you have to bring great team members on, of course. Matt is, your director of operations. He's been with you for a while. I think Matt is also moving into perhaps some type of ownership opportunity here coming with S2F. What's it like growing a company? Who do you look for, Ray, to sort of bolster the back end of your company from an employment standpoint? What type of guys and gals are you looking for to make your team the best possible team you can?
It's a great question. So first and foremost, I don't want to hide the fact that my faith plays a large part the largest part in what I do. So having that reliance on God and believing that He takes care of us. But it's also living by the principles of treating others like you would yourself. And we have high expectations of our people. These guys are traveling from, on the road sometimes 40 weeks out of the year. And we're asking them to be away from their families. But what we have done is that we have found a market space with the pricing that we include to be able to take care of the needs and try to pamper as much as we can our employees. Benefits with when they do stay on job sites, that we're giving them adequate space, Airbnbs, if we can get them on a golf course, if we can get them so we're looking for professionals. We are absolute professionals in what we do. We train in professionalism, respect, mannerisms, the old school way, the yes sir, no sir, not to us, but to our customers. We want them to be leaders, not just on a job site, but we really are focused on equipping them for life. Because this is a thick-skinned business, but we live in a thick-skinned world. So being able to incorporate some of the principles that we're teaching, hey, this is how you lead a job site. This is how you handle a first aid situation. This is how you handle a very scary, tricky rigging type operation right now. We use that to help coach them in life as well. And we have a very, very strong team chemistry. What we look for is we say, look, we can train you in your skills, but what we're looking for is attitude. And we've had a lot of success. Our team really relies on one another. They love and respect one another, and they always have access to us. They always have access to us. So building that team and growing is easy when you have the people that we have that are so receptive to learn how to treat one another, that we always have each other's back.
I love it, Ray. I'm going to bounce to Matt in just a minute, but Ray, I have a follow-up question for you, because obviously you have a very highly skilled team and you're in automation. You're in the automation industry, and like you said, there's some serious rigging that goes on and some complications once in a while, and it's a hard-nosed business. But one thing that you really have brought to the forefront that I love so much, that really resonated for our entire team, is that even though we have all this umbrella of, highly skilled teams and technical rigging, and you're in the automation industry and it's a hard-nosed business, the entire focus of your business is on your customer. It's only about the customer that you guys focus in on. How did you come up with that sort of mindset? Because it's really great, and that's really what separates you from the crowd.
Well, it's having the experience with them. I mean, this is a frightening experience. Everybody's taking a lot of risk when we go into these types of jobs. So our relationships with our customers come from an understanding of what that risk is. I mean, this is people who want packages the same day they hit the button that I bought it, right? So we have to adapt to it. So in able to do so, we understand one another. Our customer understands our position. We understand our customer's position. So when they get in a bind, which would put a typical person in, oh, that's the customer's responsibility, and create that political warfare, that's not in our contract or whatever the case is. We all have a common goal, which is we need to get this project done because they need to get stuff out the door. So it's just understanding where we're at. Our customer understands us. We understand them. Like I said, we interview our customers just as much as they're interviewing us. And we just have a strong relationship with all of them.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, Matt, of course, you're the director of operations. So you have technical aspects of what your team does. They're involved with some highly technical installations, but yet you have to lead from the top. You have to have leadership capability with regard to the corporate culture with the people that are working on the team. So how important is it for you, Matt, to sort of lead by example, to make sure that you give this attitude and this idea that, like my background, nothing is impossible. You're going to get it done. And if we hit a pothole in the road, we're still going to push through it and get it done in the best way for the clients. Where does that sort of leadership style of yours come from, Matt?
Well, it comes with experience, to be honest with you, Andy. I mean, I think collectively, and don't quote me on this, but collectively between, Ray, the other owner, myself, and some of our other leadership, I mean, we've got at least 100 plus years of overall experience in the industry. So we've been in those tough situations. We've dealt with the impossible, as you say it, and we've persevered. So, leadership from the top down definitely requires a lot of patience, perseverance, understanding of what the customer's expectations are, assistance with our customers, those integrators, setting the expectation levels with their end users, appropriately. And then, of course, execution and follow through, right? I mean, it's all about sealing the deal, landing on those milestones that we've agreed to. If something changes, which it often does, being adaptive and working as a team to ultimately come to a final solution and make it work in the best interest of the overall project, right? And a lot of our experience with those end users and our integration customers is a team atmosphere. I mean, it's a team approach. Nobody is. There's no weakest link. You know what I mean? We are all an integral piece of the chain to make a project successful.
Yeah, I love
that
you.
certainly comes from the top down.
Yeah, you've done such a great job. Of course, corporate culture starts at the top, Matt, and you've done such a great job. Now, Ray, let me bounce back to you, because many years ago, we were ordering the old-fashioned way. We were going to the store and getting our stuff, right? Now, businesses, people, everybody's ordering online. Now, when you go to Amazon, you expect the stuff there the next day. I mean, I'm in San Francisco. They're delivering it within 2 hours sometimes. But the expectation of the clients, the customers, is that I want my stuff now, I need it now, and I'm not going to wait 5, 10, 15 days for this product or item. I need it today. Like, I need it tomorrow. I want it as fast as I can get it. Where's the future? I mean, do companies that can't deliver immediately or within 24 hours, are they already outdated, or are they extinct and they don't even know? Where's the delivery times going with this new sort of industry approach that we have to immediate deliveries?
Well, I think the answer to your question is yes. I think that a lot of these I wouldn't say customers, a lot of these companies that are not tapping into the automation, they're finding themselves significantly behind. Now, to some, that's perfectly acceptable. They found their mark. They're okay with their mark, and their growth is not in their in their thought process, and that's okay. But the companies that are automating, and there are, especially right now, Andy, what's really crazy right now, what we're seeing is, because of what's going on in the world today, lots more online shopping has happened. Because being at home and unfortunately this COVID situation, it has really catapulted this business into another spectrum right now, which we're seeing this year. We saw a little bit of it last year, but we're definitely seeing it this year. So that's creating a new world as well. So it's not just I want it today, I want it now. It's also online shopping has become so vast right now because of where we're at, that companies are kind of being forced to have to automate because they're seeing so much more traffic than they did before. And as far as getting it today or tomorrow, I think that there's no amount of automation that can get things overseas quick enough. So there's a lot of that's happening too. So we'll see what the future has to hold with, are you really going to get your packages next day? But I can tell you this, here where the online shopping is happening, there's a lot of behind the scenes in places like Amazon that are doing really, really well, making sure that happens.
Yeah, it's so remarkable what's happened. Of course, if you go online, Matt, and you look at some videos, and you look at some warehouses, and you look at some automated warehouses, I mean, you can't stop from focusing in on and sort of becoming a little bit crazy about all the robots they have on the floor. I mean, you start thinking to yourself, is this going to be a Terminator situation where the robots are taking over? How important is robotics to, the future of racking and conveyors and automation with regard to the company and where you're going with S2F?
So, yeah, it's incredibly important. I mean, a lot of the systems that we have touched to date have some form of robotics involved. Not everyone, but we're seeing a lot more of it. It kind of goes back to the original comment I had about the heavy lifting piece of it, right? A robot obviously doesn't get sick. A robot doesn't need to take a break. A robot will run for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, given the correct amount of power and use of the utilities to keep it running. So Robotics plays an incredibly important role in automation today, and I think that's going to continue without a doubt. I mean, you think about palletizing systems, you think about sorting systems that require some odd-shaped product that maybe a conveyor system can't handle. Well, a robot has a lot more articulation to it. It's amazing what they can do. Sky's the limit. I mean, we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of engineers who are incredibly gifted in their innovation. And we're starting to see a lot of the fruits of their labor. And it's pretty exciting. I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, I love it so much. Ray, let's talk about growth. Let's talk about entrepreneurship just a little bit, because the more people that hear about your installations, the more people that are coming referred, the more people that come referred, the bigger the company becomes. How hard is it to keep up with hiring? How hard is it to find the right types of people right now to put into these very sort of interesting and intricate installations that your company's become known for? Are you able to hire the right types of people? And what's that like? That to me seems like it's almost would become a full-time job for someone at the company to make sure they're hiring right and continuing to get the right people.
Yeah, it's a challenge, not just for us, for everybody right now. It's definitely a challenge to find the right person that fits into the chemistry. We found some that have the right skills, but not the right attitude. And we found some that had the right attitude, but weren't willing to learn the right skills. And that's usually the balance. But because of our philosophy on relationships and networking, we have a very strong relationship with because we're national, we have a lot of national partnerships that help us to find those resources. So we got a lot of recruiting teams out there that are looking to contract to hire type scenarios. And at the end of the day, we just put a lot of emphasis on reviewing them right out of the gate. I'm heavily involved with that. I will go to a job site, meet the person. If I hear good things about them, I will go and shake their hand and thank them for working at our company. And one of the things that makes us proud, though, is that when we do find that right fit, it's always the same thing. I just love what you guys are doing. I love the team. I've come from this background and I've never had this kind of chemistry before. So it's very rewarding when you actually find them. So it's much like fishing. It's tough. The waters are the fish aren't biting as much, but when you do get them, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, it's great. And of course, you're continually looking for the entrepreneurs watching the show. Rewind what Ray just said. You need to continually try and find the right people and continually to improve the people that you have so that your company continues to grow. It's great. Now, Ray, I want to get back to you and talk about entrepreneurship and this faith-based sort of approach that you have. I love that so much, of course. But Matt, I want to ask you a follow-up question to entrepreneurship. You've been through it. You've had a great entrepreneurial journey yourself. For the younger people watching the show, Matt, what would you say to them about what it takes to get through a tough time? What does it take to get through a roadblock? What does it take to get through a wall as an entrepreneur in the entrepreneurial journey? Maybe you can give the answer based on some of your successes and some of the challenges that you've had in your life about getting through and coming out the other end, really being empowered that you did that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it comes back to, perseverance, confidence in your ability, that never give up mentality. No problem is so big that it can't not be solved with the right team, the right attitude. Times do get tough. I mean, there are many, many times in my past that I can remember thinking to myself, what am I doing? What did I get myself into? But, those moments, those are those defining moments that, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to buckle up my bootstraps. I'm going to figure out a solution. I'm going to work until I know that we have a path forward. And that never give up mentality is what really gets you through those hard times. Self-doubt is a human, it's a human trait. It's something that we all have to combat with, personally, both in our personal lives and our professional lives. And, the ability to prove yourself that you can persevere, that you can make it through And once you do, you become that much more confident the next time it comes around, right? And it's one of those qualities that is nurtured, and I don't think there's anybody on the face of the planet that hasn't been through a tough time and found a way to make it through, and has learned from that. So, taking that lesson that you learned through the process and applying it the next time around, it may not make it easier, but it definitely gives you the confidence that you can figure it out. You will figure it out.
I love it. Keep on powering through. Of course, I know you've got a whiteboard over your shoulder. I would love to see you working at that whiteboard. I bet that whiteboard gets a lot of work as the director of operations at S2F. This has been great, Matt. I wanted to thank you for coming on the show before I bounce back to Ray. Matt, thanks so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Andy.
All right, Ray, let's go. I have the same question for you. Of course, you have a lot of power and faith. You have a lot of power, from your belief and your faith in God, of course, leading the way. I wanted to ask the same thing to you about entrepreneurship. You've been through it. I've been through it. I'm an old guy, and, I've been through the wars, of course. And what can you say to the younger entrepreneurs, Ray, that are watching the show and they want to learn from someone that's a little bit more seasoned about what it takes to get through a tough time as an entrepreneur? I'm hoping you might be able to give some insight and connect it to sort of your faith as well, and how that all combines in a great sort of nice, neat package for you at S2F.
Well, I want to first, so my partner who isn't here, he's the director of field services. His name's Jeff Hartung. And he's absolutely vital to our team. So I want to make sure I mention him. When Jeff and I started this company, we both had the same vision. It was beyond just building a company. It was beyond just trying to create work. We believed in his garage when we had this conversation, we believed that we could start something to make people proud to work for a team like what we have envisioned. And so when it comes to getting through hard times, and we just recently, this is more of a personal matter, but I lost my father within the last 12 months. Jeff lost his father within the last 12 months. Matt lost his father just last week or 2 weeks ago. And one of our foremen just lost his father within the last 12 months. So it's incredible how something so, what we would appear to be tragic, what we would appear to be a roadblock in our way that could just land us in a corner in a fetal position, right? But God has allowed us to have these opportunities with our fellow brethren around us, so that we could comfort one another, right? We could comfort. Jeff lost his father first. I lost mine shortly after. He knew how to comfort me in that situation. And then, so it really is, it's about the team. And I don't want to sound cliche. I don't want to sound false modest. It really is what it is. It's being able to humble ourselves to a point where we can rely on our fellow man to pick us up when we need it. We are so vested in each other to offer success. There's the politics we play here are honest politics, and how we tie that back to our faith is simply living out the words that Jesus lived. He said that the world's going to know you by the love that you have for one another. And I believe that with all my heart, that look, we build this in love, our love for one another. I pray for my people. I pray for my guys. I pray for their safety. I let them know that I'm praying for them. I let them know I'm not forcing anybody to believe what I believe, but I want you to know I'm praying for you. I'm praying for this situation, and I'm open anytime you want to talk. So having that, whether it's work, whether it's a forklift, whether you drop the conveyor, whatever it is, that's how we approach it. And every once in a while it can get bumpy. Sometimes, love's not going to fix everything, right? It's a utopian dream, but it's still there. It's still there. Look, I'm doing this because of my love for the others. You're not being safe right now. So we really try to live by that rule, and we believe in it. And others are hungry for it. We've heard it over and over, like this is just a place that And we want to be able to live by that rule. And so it all ties back to the faith. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong there. We expect hard work, but you deserve to be treated. Anybody gives you an ounce of disrespect, you let me know, and we'll talk through it. So that's how we get through the hardships,
Wow. What great advice. I mean, first of all, of course, our thoughts and prayers and condolences. I mean, forefathers, Ray, Jeff, your partner and co-founder, Matt, Matt's father as well. And I think you mentioned another director who lost his dad. That's tough, but it's that bond that you have. It's that team approach that you have. That you believe in each other and you want to respect each other and raise each other up. That really is the difference. And it's so refreshing to hear that story. I love it so much, Ray. This is great. You have a great story. S2F is growing by leaps and bounds. You've got a great team, a great partner, of course, in Jeff, and Matt is just doing a remarkable job as the director of operations. Soon to maybe have a new title, but we'll talk about that on the next time we have you on the show. What a great interview. Ray, thanks so much for coming on the .com magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. We loved it, and congratulations on your success.
Well, thank you so much for having us.